A Nightmare on Elm Street is a 1984 horror movie created by Wes Craven. The movie is about a group of teenagers being targeted by a vengeful spirit that has the power to kill people through their dreams. An instant classic, it received critical acclaim and has since been considered as one of the best horror movies ever made. It spawned a series of movies that grossed $500 million in total, and catapulted its main antagonist, Freddy Krueger, to pop icon status, and be considered as one of the greatest villains of all time. Now, what if I tell you that the movie is inspired by true events? What will you do if you are faced with such a reality? For a certain group of people, an entire race to be exact, such a reality is just part of life. In an interview with Vulture magazine in 2014, Wes Craven, the creator of the film, recounted a story he read in an article in the LA Times that became his inspiration for the movie. During the reign of the Khmer Rouge, the people of Cambodia suffered unspeakable horror. According to a 2001 study, their atrocities directly resulted in the deaths of around 1.5 to 2 million people, or around 1/4 of the total population. A genocide that could rival the Holocaust. The Khmer Rouge's favored method of mass killing is in the killing fields, a number of sites where collectively more than 1 million people, men, women and children, were killed and buried en masse. Some do survive and manage to escape, but these cases are few and far between. One particular case of those who managed to survive was a family of 3. They were among the 1,000 Hmong people who arrived in America in the middle of the 1970s as refugees. A triumph of human resilience, and a promise of a brighter, safer future. All was well at first, and the family lived the American dream. But after a few years, the son started having very disturbing nightmares. Initially, he tried to keep it a secret, but when the experience became unbearable, he finally told his parents. He said that something is chasing him in his dreams, and if it catches him, he is absolutely sure that it will kill him for real. During this time, the young son was already so afraid to go asleep that he had tried to stay awake for a few days. To reassure him, his parents stayed with him that night. It took a while, but the young son finally managed to fall asleep and the parents let out a sigh of relief. However, later that evening, they heard a terrible scream. Frantically, they raced to their son's room, but it was too late. The boy was already dead, with a look of utmost terror frozen on his face. This was not an isolated case. In fact, in a study published in 1987 in the American Journal of Public Health, the annual rate of the so-called nightmare deaths in the United States was high, with 92 per 100,000 among Laotians Hmong, 82 per 100,000 among other Laotian ethnic groups, and 59 per 100,000 among Cambodians. This particular study didn't cover the other ethnic groups who historically are just as affected. In fact, the first recorded instance or instances were a series of 81 unexplained deaths in Hawaii among young males of Filipino descent. However, it didn't garner much attention since no relevant connection or significant pattern could be found. Presently, medical experts call the phenomenon sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome, but in the tongues of the people that live with it, call the nightmare a different name. The Filipinos call it bangungut, and the Japanese pokkuri. The Thais call it lai tai, while the Koreans dolyeonsa. Among the Hmong, it is known as tsog, and in the Kyrgyz tongue, albarsty. As the name implies, no scientifically proven cause can be attributed to the malady, and only after death could it be diagnosed. Although extremely rare in most peoples of the world, it is found to disproportionately affect young men of Asian descent, particularly Southeast Asian men between 18 to 35. A national study in England, funded by the British Heart Foundation, reported in 2007 and published in Health, showed the incidence at around 500 cases per year in England alone. Imagine how many cases are happening in Asia itself. Now, let us go back to our good friend Wes Craven. Like his movies, his story about his inspiration for The Nightmare at Elm Street also has a sequel. The story goes like this. A certain physician and his wife were not blessed with a child of their own after trying for many years. Yearning for in their eyes a complete family, they adopted a number of children, one of whom is an Asian refugee child, orphaned by war. The child grew into a fine, smart, and healthy young man of 21. One day, he started looking tired and exhausted. His family found out that he seemed reluctant to go to sleep, afraid even. They tried talking to him, but discovered nothing. They tried talking to his friends, but they too were at a loss. They later recalled him mentioning about bad dreams, but they brushed it off. His physician father could not find anything physically wrong with him. Maybe it was nothing, some of them thought, so they settled for giving him advice about the need for proper sleep. His father even gave him sleeping pills to help him rest. A few days later, the family was watching television together. The son joined in and, without them noticing, fell asleep. He slept so soundly that they decided not to wake him up to go to his own bed. After they finished watching, one by one, they all went to bed. But in the middle of the night, everyone woke to a deafening scream. They rushed to the living room where the scream was coming from, and they found the son screaming and writhing, eyes wide open, but was visibly unconscious. They tried waking him up, again and again, but the young man would not awaken. A few moments later, the young son stopped moving, gave a final breath, and then was no more. The succeeding investigation revealed some disturbing details. The young man's room was filled with empty coffee cups, with the missing family coffee maker freshly filled. The sleeping pills his father gave him lay unconsumed on the table. And next to it, a sketchpad, filled with drawings upon drawings of a dark figure, whose features are obscured by shadow, but with big glowing eyes. Watching. Staring. Hunting. Now, to be honest, after a relatively exhaustive search by someone from the other side of the world, the exact article Wes Craven mentioned could not be found. Being a talented storyteller, it is entirely possible that Wes Craven embellished the tale. However, a few articles from the same time period paint a similar picture: young Asian men dying in their sleep for unexplained reasons. It was a mystery then, and despite advances in modern medicine, continued to be a mystery to this day. What is certain is that it is true, and the deadly nightmare is not just on Elm Street after all. Thanks for watching Mysteries, Miracles and Myths. Hope to see you next time on our journey to the unexplained.